Good day, everybody. I am here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee at the Stones River National Battlefield. This is part of the National Park Service. It is a Civil War battlefield, and so we are here to take a look at this today. And it is free of charge. All right, so I just drove in here, and you can park at this first little spot and then get some pictures by the entrance. And it's beautiful out here. You're not too far away from town, but it almost looks like you are. You get out here to these parks and they kind of feels like you're out of way. So the Battle at Stones River preserves key portions of the ground where one of the most important battles of the Civil War raged from December 31st, 1862 through January 2nd, 1863. Not the best New Year celebration these individuals had. So you've got this map here and kind of let you know where you can go. And there is a visitor center and also a national cemetery. So here in the quiet fields and forests along Stones River outside Murfreesboro, two great armies fought and spilled the blood of tens of thousands of Americans in one of the most costly battles of the Civil War. Why here? The answer is found in two places you cannot see from this location: the Cumberland River wharfs of Nashville, 28 miles to the northwest, and the Nashville and Chattanooga railroad tracks hidden behind the National Cemetery. For any army, whether it was Union or Confederate, to move and fight successfully here in the states west of the Appalachians, railroads and riverboats were keys to ultimate victory. And so that's why this battle became a big deal. So let's go ahead and continue on and see what else we can find. All right, so you can just drive through this park, and again, it's free. Did you know that all state parks in Tennessee are free? I can't say that. I don't think the national parks are that way. Although, even though this one is, sponsored by a national park system, there's no fees for coming here, which is really, really nice. But yeah, all the state parks in Tennessee are free. Some other states could learn a lesson from that. There is a visitor center here, and we will take a look at that. And there's 15-minute parking at all tour stops. They don't want people, taking up too much time here. All right, so let's take a look at our first stop. This is stop 2. We just saw stop 1. And get to walk down this nice little path here. All right, your second stop here is the slaughter pen, and they call it this because Union troops got stuck in here in these rocks, and lots of fighting, and the Confederate soldiers nearly surrounded them. And by the end of it, those who survived it, they called it slaughter pen because there was blood and gore like all over a lot of these rocks with all the dead. That is just crazy to think that December 31st, 1862, that was the scene here. Pretty incredible. And now it's a park. How great is that? Get to come here and enjoy the history. That is really something, though, when you take the time to just imagine what that must have been like and all that fighting going on here. A time when there was so much violence and so much fighting, and now it's just as peaceful as can be. All right, so that was stop 2, the slaughter pen. So you can call a number. The National Park Service, they have it set up where you can call a number, and you use the keypad on your phone to dial in which stop you're at, and it'll give you some information. That's pretty neat. They have a few trails around here that you can take, and then if you have your cell phone with you, you can use that to get a lot of information about the battle and the different stops here. And it's a beautiful little drive. And just look at that. Look at it. It was raining earlier, so I'm really glad we got a little break in the storm so I could come over here and look at this place. But you can see some of the water left over on the roads. It rained pretty good. And looks like there's thunderstorms all around, so it may rain again. So we'll try to get in as much as we can before the next storm rolls in. The storms out here are really different. If you've never been out to Tennessee before, or any of these places in the south, because it'll look like it's cold, and it will cool off a little bit, but it's still pretty warm, even when it's raining. The rain can actually feel pretty good because it's still kind of warm outside, sometimes hot. All right, we're up to stop 3 up here, so we'll see what this is about. So right here's where the Union forces lined up, and they were able to stop the Confederates' continued attacks as they would come out of these woods up here. And just crazy to be able to be here and see all this. So just imagine those cars not being here, and all these soldiers in gray coming out of those woods, and the Union soldiers defending this area. You got a couple little trails here, and you got some information. Just they've got a few of these plaques around. Here's one on exploring the promise of freedom, dealing with the slavery issue. And over here, waiting anxiously for tomorrow's fate. The two armies, over 80,000 men, were now within killing distance of each other. As night settled in, a chilling wind rose through the cedar thickets, and across muddy fields the unsettling sounds of moving infantry and artillery could be heard. Some men tried to sleep, others reflected on tomorrow's battle and thought of home. And, you know, that would be something. You know, hearing the sounds, you know, at night. If you've ever been out camping at night, out there where there's nothing, sound travels really well, and you can hear just about everything. And just knowing what the next day would bring, that would be really something. It says, through the darkness, the bands of both armies began to play. One band started playing Home Sweet Home, and other bands joined in. When the song finished, an uneasy silence lay thick on the night. For many in blue and gray, it would be the last song they would ever hear. Why isn't that something? And there is a national cemetery here. Oh, hey, I gotta watch these snipers here. You better stay away from me. All right, we got another little sign here. Can't really stop. That's basically about how the Union, that little sign there is about how the Union soldiers started to turn the tide. You can't see it from here, but off to the right there is a national battlefield cemetery, a lot of Civil War grave sites that are over there. And that is something that you can visit while you're here as well. You go through this opening here though, and you just imagine all the fighting, you know, Confederate and Union forces kind of at each end of these trees and stuff. That's just wild to think about. All right, so we're inside the visitor center now.
He's actually Bedford County. That is where he is born.
And you can come in here and get a little bit more information. Not just on this battle, but just the leading up to the Civil War itself. So they have some nice exhibits in here that you can take a look at. I was writing home. You got some uniforms here. Yeah, so this is pretty nice. You come in here, there's an entrance really close to here, and you come in here and they'll give you like a map and brochure and stuff. And as it says there, this battle was a milestone in the Union plan to split the Confederacy. Nearly 1/3 of the soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing after 3 days of fighting. Wow. And we finish this video as we wrap things up. Now there's the battlefield over there. And again, lots of trails, places you can walk around, a few stops you can make. It's all free. And then you can come over here and you can see the Stones National Cemetery, the military cemetery that's over here. When the Battle of Stones River ended on January 2nd, 1863, over 3,000 Union and Confederate soldiers were dead, and most were buried in really quickly prepared graves on the battlefield. But in October of 1865, soldiers from the 111th United States Infantry, that was an all African-American infantry actually, began the task of disinterring the bodies of the Union soldiers, and then they reburied them here in the newly opened Stones River National Cemetery. So a lot of Union soldiers buried here from that battle. By April of 1866, over 6,000 Union soldiers have been brought here for reburial. Included were not only soldiers killed at Stones River, but others who had died elsewhere in Middle Tennessee. The Confederate dead not eligible for burial in national cemeteries were taken to their hometowns or to public cemeteries in nearby Murfreesboro. So you can drive through this cemetery as well. Take a look at some of the graves if you want to. It's a very somber experience here. So this is how we'll end our video today. So the Stones River National Battlefield and Cemetery, it is free of charge, and it won't take you very long. I imagine it, if you did a few of the trails, may take you a little bit longer, but it's not a very big place. There's only about 4 stops in the visitors center. You can get in and see just about all you wanted to see in as little as 45 minutes to an hour, but you can certainly spend more time here if you wanted to. Located in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is about 35 minutes south of Nashville. Boy, listen to those cicadas. It's one thing about the South, boy, there's a lot of racket. I kind of like it. It's different. All right. We'll see you next time, everybody.